Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this episode of the trick training series, we're going to be looking at the 2 on, 2 off behaviour. So what is a 2 on, 2 off? It's usually seen in agility. It's where the dog has its back feet on one object and front feet on the ground. In agility, you usually see it as a way of teaching a stopped contact. So the dog comes down one of the contact obstacles, such as the dog walk. As they come to the bottom, they put their front feet onto the ground and they keep their back feet on the contact, the dog walk, and they hold that position until the handler releases them. In terms of a trick, we can teach this trick even if though we don't do agility, because it's a good way of just having fun with our dog, but it also helps our dog to think about their back feet. Most dogs don't have a good concept of their back feet. So this is a game we can play that will enable them to think about where their back feet are. It can build up a bit of core strength as well when we use it on different objects. And it's just a fun way of helping our dog with their proprioception. And of course, it's another thing that we can teach as a game, and also it will help you with some of the later tricks I'm going to show you. So this is a starting point for you, getting them to think about those back feet. So we're going to start with a low target object. Now you can see that Swift has value for putting her front paws on this object. I do a lot of front paw training with her. So, but obviously we want her to use her back feet on this. Now I've started with a low, this is one of them balance cushions you can buy in a certain supermarket cheaply, and I use this quite a lot. I haven't got it filled too full, so it's quite wobbly, and it's low as well, so it's a good one to start off, and it's got a good grip so it doesn't move once it's on the ground. I know you know this one very well. So I have never actually taught Swift 2 on, 2 off, so this is going to be a good time to see what she does. So what we're going to do, we're going to put that out there, and oh, good girl. Now, was that a bit of luck? Well, she does know a little bit of rear foot placement, so it was a good guess on her part that the object was that far away. Put my feet up on it. But obviously, if your dog wasn't so aware, you would have to lure them. And what is a good way of doing it is to lure them so they walk over the object, and then bring them round to the front. If you had a bigger dog or your dog was really not sure, you could use a big dog bed, which is so they've got plenty of room to get them doing this. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, break. So what we would do is we'd bring them, and we could even bring them right round the back and then get them to walk over it and see where their back feet are. So we're bringing them into position, and then once they're there, we're going to get them to hold it. Now, I don't tend to use a weight cue. I like them to just learn to hold it, that once they're in that position, they hold it till I tell them differently, which you can see they do, but because you might want to say wait. But what I would do is, when I was training it, what I basically did was I didn't give them the treat quite so quick. So when they're first doing it, you give the treat instantly. Then you'd sort of give a count of 1 in your head, 1, then give the treat. And then, so if I show you that, okay, so we'd go round, and in my head I'd be thinking 1, and then I'd give the treat. And then I'd give it another moment, give the treat. And you would build that up. So obviously she's advanced with this, which is why she's able to hold it, even with distractions. Good girl. Now, once we've got a little bit of this going on, we can see if we can start getting them to go to the target, break, without us asking for it. So what we want to see if they'll do the behaviour, good girl, without us actually asking for it. Now, though she's actually done rear foot placement, as I said, I've never actually taught a 2 on, 2 off for contacts, because I do running contacts, so I don't have that behaviour. Good girl. So I'm getting to break off, and I'm just going to see if she'll do it. Good girl. Now you can see she's still doing it by going the way I showed you with the lure. So she's putting a front paw on, then moving herself over it. I'm not worried about that at this stage because she's still getting her back feet where she wants to be. And on a contact equipment, you would be going down feet first. Good. So the next thing we want to do is start to proof that hold on the object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, okay, break, just start again so you're a bit more primed. Good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a treat on the floor. Good. So what I want to do is to show that she has to hold the position. Nice. Now if I put that there and I tell her, break, get it. So I'm giving her a cue when she can leave the cushion. So you notice that all the way through, when I've been doing this, when I want her to leave it, I say break. Because that's my cue to tell her you can leave that position. If you don't do that, if you just throw a treat, so you just threw a treat and they did it, then they don't actually learn that they have to wait for you to tell them to release. They think they can self-release. And then that causes a problem later on, because what you end up doing, so I want her to hold it, what ends up happening is that the dog just releases itself when it's had enough or it hasn't had a reward. So you end up with this situation where you don't know if the dog is going to hold it or not. So by doing this, I'm getting her to hold that position. Break, get it. And telling her when she can get it. And so break is my word to mean you can leave that position. Get it means you can get the treat that's on the floor. What you doing? Okay. You notice I'm not rewarding her when she does the sit on the cushion, because that's not what I want at this moment in time. I want the 2 on 2 off standing. Good. Okay, so now we've got that. We're going to move out and get an object that's slightly higher. So this is my homemade box. It's, come here my maid so I can show him, sit. It's covered with a carpet tile, so it's got good grip. And you can see it's higher. You can see it's higher, considerably higher. So now what we've got to do is see if she'll, there you are. Because she's got the behaviour from the cushion, it transferred really well. And I can honestly, I very rarely do this with her. I don't think I've ever done this with her, but she transferred it so easily, because she'd done that foundation work, and it was just like, oh, well, it's just another object that I put my back feet on. So it's all about building that value for her. Good girl. And again, we're going to do the same with proofing it. Break, get it. And see if she'll go back. Now you notice I haven't, that's a weird one, yeah? You notice I haven't actually put any cue word to this. I'm just waiting for her to offer it. So obviously we could have a cue for this. We could have feet, paws. In agility world, people sometimes do have, they have feet, you know, that could be it. There's any word you could use for it really. And of course, if you're doing this and you want to teach, obviously we have the target, and sometimes we want to teach the dog to put their front feet on it, and sometimes we want the back feet. So we want to perhaps differentiate it for it. So I don't know, I could use this as, I don't know what I might say for that. Feet probably would be a good one. Yep. So then to add the word break, we just offer the cue before she does the behaviour. Feet. Good girly. So you see, I saw she was going to do the behaviour, so I offered her the cue. Break. Yes. Feet. So the idea is that she gradually chains that behaviour with the word feet. Good girl. To get that understanding. You're doing ever so well. How could we advance this even further to make it even more interesting? Well, what we could do is we could use a surface that's slightly wobbly. Now, obviously we always have to think of safety, but what I mean by that is you can get wobble boards. Okay, break. Which are designed to be used in agility, and they are designed for the dog to move slightly under the dog, to train them to understand movement. You could use a board that represents a seesaw, so it has a slight movement to it. So you could do that to give them a greater understanding of what they're doing, that they've still got to hold it, even if the surface is slightly unstable. Thing to remember is it mustn't be a surface that's going to knock the dogs off or they're going to slip on. It's got to be sensible, and it's not going to cause them any injury. But that's your 2 on 2 off. And now we've got that, we're going to move on to some further tricks. I hope you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video. If you have, you might like to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram.